What's up, my good people? Welcome to the CJ Moneyway Show, in association with Believe Network, the podcast that brings you stories behind the success. Today, we're thrilled to welcome a true icon in entertainment, actor, singer, songwriter, voice artist, and hip hop legend from the group Tag Team, which brought us the unforgettable hit, Whoop. There it is. DC Glenn, man. Thank you for joining the show today, man.
I was like, wow, who's this dude? Boy, weird when you hear it back from somebody else, boy. Good grief.
Oh man, hey man,
I
you
got
accomplished a
10
lot.
jobs.
Hey
No, man,
man,
I'm happy to be here, man. What's going on with you guys, man?
I appreciate it, man. Nah, man, longevity in the game. Hey,
Mhm.
a lot of accolades that you got going on, man. And I'm just glad that you came on the CJ Moneyway show today. So, Glenn, man, let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your background and how it was growing up in the on the South Side of Chicago, and what challenges did you face, and how did that shape you?
Well, I don't remember because I left Chicago when I was 4 years old. So
Mm,
I remember being in Chicago because my father used to take me and put me on the back of his bike and drive me around the lake. I remember certain little things like that, but other than that, I moved to Denver, Colorado when I was 4
mm,
and grew up in Denver, Colorado, went to Sac State for college and came down to Atlanta because Steve was down here. And I've been down here ever since, hustling and grinding. And, that's kind of what I'm all about, man, is just, they call me DC the Brain Supreme, and they call me that for a reason
mm,
because I don't quit. I play offense, and I just figured things out, right? And it's always been that way, and it continues to be this way today because after 31 years, we're still touring. We're in like 3 different tours now. I'm acting. Booked a commercial next week, um, and doing voiceover, which is pretty much every day.
mm,
I got flexibility, so it's just continuing to hustle, continuing to learn, right? The biggest thing is that I love to learn. So through my learning, you know, and through necessity of not depending on people and not expecting people to do things for me,
mm,
I'm very savvy in AI. I'm very savvy in every technology that comes about. I always try to find a different way because there is a way, and I love marketing. So all these things came out of necessity because ain't nobody gonna do nothing for you. So you better learn how to be your own publicist. You better learn how to be your own marketer. You better learn how to be your own booking agent. You better learn how to be all the things that you want to get this bread.
mm,
Then you build a support team that helps you get to achieve your goals, right? Get you a talent agent, things of that nature. But you got to do the work. Nobody's gonna do anything for you. They can aid you, but it takes you to do the work. Now, that's my experience. Some
mm,
people luck the hell up and they got people who can do everything for them. All they got to do is do their thing. But I haven't been that fortunate. Right. And, because we had such a big record, you know, we weren't able to really do anything else. And amongst other legal, we had been in a legal battle for we was in a legal battle from like 98 to 2017.
mm,
Right. So, you know, I always, I guess I've been forced to always try to find the positive in the negative. Because if I didn't do that, it just would have became an old bitter rapper with a story of how we got screwed in the music industry, right? And
mm.
there's enough of them out there. So
Yeah.
I was never that dude. So, way back in the late 90s, I pretty much became a paralegal because we were in a legal battle because I needed to learn what these people were talking about. So I had to learn the language. And I just vowed that nobody's going to beat me out of no money ever again. So I basically had to become a financial advisor and became a licensed commodities broker. And I learned finance,
Mm,
and I had to learn the language. And you know, I had to improve myself. And my goal is just to be a better man today than I was yesterday. So that a lot, involves a lot of self-help, right? A lot of reading Anthony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and business books and all the things of that nature. You go through that self-help kick, and then trying to stay healthy and trying to just continue to live a good life. That requires a lot of sacrifice and requires maximum effort if you want to be successful. And that's just what I try to teach, because I'm a motivational speaker as well. So I just try to get people to think a little bit differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the first thing I try to teach people is that, you know, nobody is going to give you anything. Don't nobody owe you anything.
Mm-hmm.
And last, don't nobody care. And once you realize that, you're truly free. Your mind is free.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you to go get the knowledge, right? Because the knowledge is out there. You just have to go get it. And I've just come up with several tactics to be able to get the knowledge that I need. Most people say go to school, which is good. Most people say read a book, which is good. A lot of people will say get a course, which is good. But I've done all that. I'm trying to evolve into something better. So what I end up doing by accident is the easiest way to 2 points is somebody teaching you the game. We've
Mm-hmm.
all had, I'm sure you had plenty of hustlers who put you on game. And the old school guys done told you stuff, and you be like, man, I appreciate you, OG. You know what I mean? Put you on game about their experiences of what they've been through.
Yeah.
So to find those type of people, I joined organization, right? That's why I tell kids, I was like, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? What do you want to be? I said, so from here on out, anytime you're interested in something, type in organization, society, or association after, and then you're going to come up with 10, 15 different organizations that support that genre of business or that career.
Mm-hmm.
And you start making calls. And then you'll find out real quick if it's for you or not. But if it's for you and that's what you want to do, then you get a membership, which don't cost that much. And you just start learning everything you can, because organizations have the resources to teach you. They have the resources to get you started financially. And they got thousands of members who can't wait to run their mouth about how good their business is, because they've been doing it 10, 20, 30, 40 years and just can't wait to teach you the game, right? That's why I do podcast every day, because it's my contribution to the game. I sit here and spit game to folks. I ain't trying to promote nothing. I ain't trying to do anything but teach people to be blessed how I've been blessed. And that's my mission, man. And whatever I can do to just sit down and talk to people, people like, man, you got all that game, man. You could be selling that. It's like, nah, it don't work like that. Because my motto is you give what you want first, right? And that's why I stay blessed.
Man, like you said, you showed just dropped some game over here, man. I appreciate that, because like one thing that you were saying, like ain't nobody gonna give you nothing. And you just gotta go out there, you gotta learn how to be your own marketer, you gotta learn how to be your own publicist, and I know exactly what you said, because before I was talking to you, that's what I'm up here doing, just
Yeah.
marketing, doing marketing stuff, because everything ain't nobody giving me nothing. So I gotta go out there and get it,
Mhm.
and and like that is all about consistency, even when it don't seem like that is, it is what it is, but people ain't feeling you, you know what I'm saying? But as long as you understand yourself what you trying to do, and what goals you trying to reach, you just gonna keep on going, man, and the doors open up for you. So I truly get what you're saying on that point, man. So let me ask you, DC, man, what inspired you to get into the entertainment industry, and what were the key moments or influence that fueled your drive?
Just from a kid, man, I grew up, in a middle income household, and my mother and father, great parents. We weren't rich, but we was good. And I grew up in a community, and sh- my mom made me go to piano lessons. My father's like, y'all gonna play music, right? So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have no choice, but that didn't stick. But what did stick is when I got to 11th grade, I got switched high schools in Denver, Colorado, from Matchbuff high school to manual high school. And, you know, me and Steve became friends because we sat by each other in homeroom. My last name's Glenn, his last name is Gibson. And Steve had a band and they would play in the quad, you know, during lunchtime sometimes. And I was like, I'm gonna be in that band. Cause it just I just thought that was the flyest stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then heard the choir and thought the choir was fly. I was like, I'm gonna be in that choir. Bolt Vibration, uh, conducted by Dr. Joyce Davis. And I had never been exposed to all this stuff and music in a different way, right? There's all
Mm-hmm.
kind of forms of music, but I had never been exposed to music in a different way. And lastly, I went to my first high school dance, the first dance at this high school, manual. And this is like when Pac Jam was out by the Johnson Crew, and all the electronic record, Planet Rock and Al Nafish and all them records. And I saw a DJ, two turntables and a microphone rocking. I've never seen that,
Yeah.
right? I never seen that. Was like when hip hop was brand new. It was like early 80s. And I was like, I'm gonna be a DJ. And I became all three. And through years of hard work and mastery, I became very good at all of them, right? And graduated, went to Sac State, learned how to use a 4-track because, technology evolves, and always stayed up on the technology, became a great DJ, DJ'd all the frat parties and started DJing the clubs in Sacramento. I'm 19, 20, DJing in the club, supposed to be in class. Man, like, I'm working. Then moved to Atlanta and didn't think my, DJ skills were up to par. So I was, trying to work at CNN, but end up getting a job in Magic City.
Mm.
And that changed everything. Magic City actually ruined my life, and it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Two things can be true. and and the rest is history, man. That's where Whoomp There It Is was spawned. You know what I'm saying? And being able to test your records to the place that you work, and then you beating all the stars because you were in the number one club in the city. You know what I mean? I'm friends with these people to this day. Dominique, Dion, the Falcons back in the day, Otis
Yeah.
Nick, all them Braves back in the day, all the artists back in the day. We all family, right? And so I was already popular before even thought about putting out records like that. It was always the goal to be a rock star.
Mhm.
But, you know, we down in the southeast, you gotta make booty shake.
Mm.
But my influences from all over the country, because when I was in SAC DJing, I would order from 12-inch dance records in DC. So I was getting all the New York records, down south records, Midwest records, where not Midwest, like Texas records. I was getting all the I was exposed to all the LA stuff at the beginning, right? And so my influences are wide ranging. So coming down to Atlanta, I was still trying to do hip hop. Then I realized we had to do some up tempo. And it's like I knew I wasn't going to be able to make the booty shake stuff, but I knew I could make stuff like I could make that electronic Planet Rock stuff because that's the essence of hip hop. That's the beginning of the b-boy era.
Mhm.
Our first attempt was Whoomp There It Is, and it just blew up. I knew it was going to be a record, but as a young man, I'm thinking every record I make is going to be a hit record. So it was like what was it like February 1993. Record labels was just, you know, back then it was New York and LA,
Mhm.
and they were trying, to do something with the record, but their model was New York and LA. They didn't know how to do a down south record. But the young lady told me to call a guy named Al Bell. For those who don't know what Al Bell is, in the beginning of soul music, there were three record companies: Philly International, Motown, Berry Gordy,
Mhm.
and Stax Records, which is Al Bell. And he fast forward, he put out a record called Daisy Dukes by Deuce that blew up in the Southeast and it went gold. So she was like, you need to talk to him because he know how to use bass records. And I was like, cool, I can go gold. I don't mind. I just want to get put on.
Mhm.
And I called him. He hit me back 2 weeks later. And I was like, look, man, I got a hit record. You need to, it don't need it. You need to just sign us, man, because we're going to lose this thing if you don't hurry up and sign us. And he was like, all right. I was like, come on, man, you ain't even heard the record. He's like, I ain't gotta hear the record. I hear it in your spirit.
Mm.
Let's agree to agree, get this thing moving. And I was like, bet. And gave my 2 weeks in Magic City, signed a messed up record contract, and after a month and a half, tag team was platinum.
Mm.
Rest is history, dog.
So let me ask you about that, man. Because I know Whoop Dad is came out in '93. Y'all sold over like 7 million singles worldwide. So what was that experience like? And what kind of doors did that open for you, man? For you guys?
I mean, just being in the music industry, touring, meeting all the people, meeting the fan, your colleagues and the people who had hit records at the same time, and touring with people that you grew up listening to their records, and just fun because we were young, man. So we just fun balling, and then I lived in Atlanta, so I was already popular, right? So it really
Right.
wasn't a big phase to me, but being to travel the world and go to Europe and South America and just travel, man. And we had a really really good time and a really really good run. And then the business part pops up because it's like, okay, now where's my money?
Mm.
And then that's when it gets sticky, right? And you know that's when it kind of just, I ain't gonna say fell apart, but that's when it started fading. And big bank take little bank. And little bank thought he had big bank, but not the bank that the big bank got. So that's what, it was like, whoa, okay, I'm thinking I can legally deal with this, but then it's like, man, I had to go back to work after 4 years, right? And that's not a problem because basically be DJing back then was getting show money. So
Mhm.
still doing shows, DJing in the club. Went back to what I knew, DJing, but I studied. And I just vowed that that'll never happen again. And it's like you know, you can either put that stuff to the back of your head and fight, or you just become old and bitter. And I just
Mm.
refused. I refused to be that. But along that way, the growth and becoming, a professional businessman, that is the byproduct of hustle. Because I've always been a hustler. Clubs taught me how to hustle, right?
Mhm.
Really, it goes back to my parents because my parents made us, they gave us chores. We had to do work. Like I had to cut lawns and mow grass and shovel snow. I had to do all that stuff. Or I couldn't
Mhm.
go out and play. If I didn't go to church, I couldn't go out and play. And back then, play was everything. Go play
Mm.
football with the neighborhood. Come on, man. Ride bikes with the neighborhood. Play basketball, baseball. Man, please. We was our own entertainment, right?
Everything.
Because we was in a community of people, right? Like I grew up. I had the greatest childhood. I had the greatest childhood, and it I know there's a lot of people out there that didn't. There's a lot of my people that didn't have fathers, and I used to just not really talk about it. But I'm like, that ain't no excuse. I said I had a great father. My father educated me in ways that I can educate you.
Mhm.
So that's why I just give it away because, you know, don't use that as an excuse. I had a great father. I tell you everything he taught me right here on this podcast. So what's up? You don't use that as an excuse. There's always a way.
Mhm.
And people don't realize that. And like I said, I'm a little different. I think backwards, right? Like you say you were marketing, right?
Yeah.
And there's a probably a concept of what social media is, there's a concept of what marketing is, but there really is no concept. It's what, everybody comes up with an innovative idea and then everybody else follows. So why can't it be me that comes up with the innovative idea? Right.
Mhm.
And young cats be like, man, you got social media, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. It's like, no, I don't. I said, man, my ass is old. I ain't trying to do that. But I do social media, right?
Yeah.
I just do it differently
Mhm.
because to me, you know, people do social media for several reasons. Social media to some people is their life, right?
Mhm.
Because they just put their life on blast the whole time. It's their own TV show. Hey, that's cool. Ain't me though.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people need or want because they've never had attention and they thrive it. So they'll do whatever to get that attention to keep it going because it's an elixir, right? And I'm like, nah, let me figure out another way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And social media, everybody's just me. Look at me. And I'm like, I tell people all the time, it's like I don't need 100,000 people to like me. I just need 100 people to pay me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think about it differently. I think about in like what you were saying, there's somebody out there looking for you. And if you're not in front of them, well, then you got work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean in front of them, I mean you have to know that there's somebody looking for your type of podcast. There's somebody looking for you because you are enough and you have value. But if you're just carpet bombing everything, hoping and praying that if I blast to 1,000 people and 20 people like me, that's going to work, and that is very, very difficult to do. But if you can find 100 people who get up in Google and say, I want a podcast about this, and you're that podcast, then you get to get in front of them and say, I am your man.
Mm-hmm.
Holla at me. And now you solved a problem. You've answered the question. You now have 100 more people who ride with you.
Mm-hmm.
You have 100 more people that who will buy stuff from you, who will trust you, who will ride with you. And when you build that community like that, that is how old folks can do social media. If you got businesses, if that's how you're trying to approach it. The old way is good too. You stay consistent. You can post every other day, stuff like that. That's cool. But
Mm-hmm.
it depends on what you're doing, right? Like my goal is to keep getting more shows. So therefore, every type of show we've ever done gets a pitch deck. Every type of show we've ever done gets email campaign. Every type of show we've ever done gets a CRM campaign. And it's like, look, we do parades. It's the holiday season. Book tag team for you parades in 2026, a year before. And you're gonna see that sprinkled all the time. Well, if I've got 30 different types of shows we've done, that gets sprinkled all the time. And I'm getting in front of the people who actually need me, which are promoters, entertainment, event coordinators, corporate people. Like that's who I want to be in front of.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I get in front of them and they might not mess with me today just because they saw it, but all I do is plant seeds. Right. That's all I do is plant seeds. And I don't expect anything from them.
Yeah.
Like you don't plant a seed and sit down Indian style, say, okay, seed, I need you to grow.
Yeah.
Man, this seed ain't growing, man. Man, this seed don't work. I quit. How many people we know got into real estate, thought they was gonna be rich and or took a course or took a thing and it didn't work out because they thought that's the only thing they needed to do.
Yeah.
It's like you plant that seed and keep it moving because you got more seeds to plant. And I don't plant a seed if I'm not prepared for that seed to grow. So if I'm not prepared for the responsibility and the sacrifice of that seed becoming a tree or becoming a big tree, then I'm just flailing all about. And then I never get anything accomplished. And 31 years ago, we planted a seed called Whoomp. There it is. It is now a sequoia. It ain't
Mm-hmm.
going nowhere. It done been burnt. It done been infested with bugs. It done been fucking chopped down. Well, people done lived in, chopped holes in it and lived in it. But this tree is still standing. And this
Mm-hmm.
tree is still bearing fruit. And that's what those seeds have to do for you. It might be a tomato shrub. It might be, a pine tree. It might be some shrubs. They all have their purpose, but you continue to plant the seeds because seeds grow.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're prepared when those opportunities come to you, oh, that's another hustle. So when people see me making money, especially back when I was in clubs, they see me making money, be like, oh man, he hustling because I got 10 hustles. But then your hustle gets diluted because everybody else starts doing it. And I'm like, hey, y'all can have this hustle.
Mhm.
because I got 9 in the hole. Catch me if you can. Right. So I am the leader, not the follower.
Mm.
And even if I do see something that I would like, ooh, I should do that. But I'm like, well, how can I do that in a different way?
Different way.
How can I do that in a different way? And that's part of how I think. Like I had an audition yesterday, and one of the, it was for this commercial, and one of the it was actually a callback, and the question was, has anybody ever judged you or dismissed you or discriminated against you because of your weight? I'm like, yeah, back in the day. And how did it make you feel? And most people like, it made me feel sad, it made me feel this, it made me feel that. I was like, back in the day, it stung a little bit, but now I'm like, I take a different approach because I consistently try to find the positive in the negative.
Mhm.
So if someone say, DC, your fat ass, boom, boom, I was like, man, I ain't gonna get emotionally involved because I'm like, the first question I asked was, well, what if they're right? What am I gonna do about it?
Yeah.
If you approach it in that way, what have you just done? You've just come up with a solution to an answer that has been plaguing you all your life or for a long time, right? Whatever they say about you, man, your podcast ain't this. It's like, man, kiss my ass. Well, but what if he's right? What I do about it, because all you have control over is what you do.
Yeah.
It's that different type of thinking. And I try to get people to think differently, right? And stay out of their emotions. And when you can do that, man, please, ain't nothing you can't do.
Man, you know, you said a few things that touch base with me. And one thing you just said, like, cause I remember my old man, and that always stuck with me. I was arguing with one of my kids' mothers on the phone one day, and he heard me. He was standing at the door inside the house. He said, "Hey, man," he said, "Look here." He say, "Why you sit up there arguing with that woman?" He say, "Women are emotional." You know what I'm saying? He like, men don't get moved, or we shouldn't be moved by emotions. And that always stuck with me. I was like 20 years old at the time. But
And the
that's
beauty
some
of it, that's a gift. Because if you think about it, if you're like, well, what if she's right? Man, she don't know what the hell she talking about. But what if she's right? It's not
yeah.
that she's right. It's an exercise for you to sit back and think, if I am like that, how do I be a better man today than I was
Hmm.
yesterday? How can I get, and if you have the solution, even though that solution doesn't, apply to what's going on in that moment, but now you got a solution to put in your pocket for later.
Hmm.
And all
Yeah.
these things are in the back of your head that keep, it's a form of growth, right? And growth and maturity. And that's why I don't have time for any of that.
Hmm.
Like, I don't have time. Like, it's crazy how women got it twisted, but a lot of women don't got it twisted. But women struggle because they're successful, but they can't get what they want,
Mm.
right? They could be successful, have all the money they want, but women aren't. There's a lot of women out there that aren't fine with just being by themselves. There's a small percentage that is, because
Mm.
I'm cool being by myself, right? But I worked in a strip club for 30 years. I have 4 lifetimes of ass. I'm good. I what more can I do? Right.
Yeah.
And when you mature and you mature right, the things you used to love, you start to hate.
Mm. That.
And that's part of it, right? It's like I can't waste my time, right? I'm not wasting my time dating because I know I tell people straight up, like, this is, hey, we can get out of, but you got to know this is only going to be about sex. There is really no way that we ever going to be together because I'm too set in my. I tell them the truth.
Hmm.
If they want to continue on, I've done my part, right? But I'm not going to try to trick you out of something because I don't need to.
Hmm.
The best. Here's another thing. This is what is most important. The question was, when do you feel best in yourself, right? When do you feel the best within yourself? And I said, right now. I said, let me tell you something. Because it's about 6 people in the room. I said, let me tell you something. I am a dapper, articulate, older, heavyset, you know, successful man. And I get the privilege to stand in front of you good people and be me
Mm-hmm.
because that's who y'all wanted to see. Me. It don't get no better than that.
Mm-hmm.
It don't get no better than that. Right? So you are always enough,
Yeah.
right? Because y'all, I'm auditioning for y'all's commercial because y'all want me. I get to
Mm.
be me. So right now I'm feeling myself because you're asking me, when do you feel good? Because you are sitting here with me. So I'm like that with women. I'm like, you sitting here with me. It's all good. I feel great. I know what I'm about. I know
Yeah.
I know what I am. But I I I have a lot of female friends, and that's what I'm telling you about how working in a strip club, working in Magic City is the greatest thing that ever happened to me and the worst thing that ever happened to me. Because I'm immune to women. I'm immune to that thing. I learned that after the first year. I learned that was not the most important thing in the world. Such as
Man.
paper is. Paper,
Man.
hey, happiness, paper, family. There's other things, right?
Yeah.
And once you realize that that thing ain't the most important thing in the world, you are liberated as a man.
Bro, I'm feeling you on every level on this. Not at the scale that saying that you
Yeah.
on, because I always look at it like, man, if I had money back when I was younger, I just would have been ignorant with it, because I was already,
Everybody's ignorant when they're young with the money. Ain't nobody get their money right when they was young.
I'd
From
have been
Usher to Outkast to everybody. We all blew the money. Okay, we
oh
all
man.
because man, what was it about back then? Back then it was about balling. I'm so tired of balling.
Uh,
Back then it was balling because back then the club meant something. The club was the place that you go and dance, right? Like the audition, I had to dance, right? And she was like, well, what do you want me to play? And I was like, just play some old school R&B. And she played September from Earth, Wind, and Fire. And it took me back when you had to go ask a woman, hey, would you like to dance?
yeah.
And which is basically when you dance with a woman, it's an introduction to feel each other out to see if you were feeling each other in a way that's positive. And if you're
Mhm.
dancing to have a good time, and if you got that game and that mouthpiece, then you're going to dance 2 songs, 4 songs, 8 songs. Then you're going to go into a slow song if DJ know
Mm.
what he's doing. And I knew what I was doing because I had a front row seat to humanity, so I can create those moods and those mood swings. And I can tell you, I have a list, a historical list of people who met in the club, danced with each other, slow dance, and now they've been married for 30 years.
Mm.
Like the blessings that I've gotten to, the blessings that have come across my plate in the form of education, in the form of how to deal with people, how to read crowds, how to do those. That's why we still get to tour, because when I walk on that stage, you got an entertainer, you got you got a DJ who understands. Like back then, it was about dancing, it was about fun, it was about all of that. And when they asked me to dance in September came on, all that flushed back on me. And I was in that thing grooving because I was in front of an iPad where you could see yourself, right? Because there was
Yeah.
other people that were looking from another state. And I could see myself, and once I saw myself, it was just like, just grooving, man.
Yeah. Like,
It took me back to that day. And that's what I think, me being DC, the brain supreme of tag team, who sings the song Whoomp, There It Is, brings to the table, is that I create memories. I've created memories, I create memories, and I bring memories back of a day when everything was all good.
man.
It was all good, dog. We
I,
had
I
fun.
know. Hey, like you say, back in the day, like you were saying earlier, man, when we just used to go out, community, playing football, baseball, basketball, riding your bikes, going out, just hanging out,
Yep.
just walking the blocks, because like you say,
Just be
so
at
what
home
you
before
doing?
dark. Be at home before dark, you
Exactly.
all good. You can do your chores, be at home before dark. You can go wherever you can do whatever you a grown ass young man. You're a
Or
grown ass kid if you can do that, right?
and
And
if you
that's
stay,
where the responsibility and the discipline comes from,
yeah, yeah.
And I am so grateful to my parents for just cracking the whip like that because they create. As a grown man, I have never not known work.
Mm,
I don't give a damn. I'll go work hey, I will work my ass off because it ain't nothing but work.
mhm,
That's what people don't understand. Ain't nothing but work. So whatever it is you do, as long as you're willing to put in the work, it's all good. So I'm like, I'm gonna be an actor. Put in the work. I put in the work constantly. It's the hardest thing I ever had to do. But I know that's my ride out. I know motivational speaking is I've got 3 careers I'm nurturing as I still got a little bit of youth left in me. And
mhm,
I get all the stuff that I used to love that I don't like anymore. I'm not going to continue to linger on still doing it, not liking it, right?
mhm,
I have enough things that are brand new where I feel brand new all the time. And that's the one thing the strip club did for me. It was the fountain of youth. And I retired from the clubs about it's almost 10-year anniversary of me retiring from the clubs. I didn't want to be a 50-year-old DJ. And as soon as I walked away from a club, I turned into an old dude. I thought I was going to forever be 32 because that was my mentality because I had to keep up with the music that young folks like. I had
yeah,
to keep up with everything, right? And I was good at it because I had experience and I know how to get the newest music first. I understood the music industry. I understood how radio worked. I understood how all these things worked because I came up in them. So therefore, it wasn't that difficult for me to make to create mood for people to spend money. Right? That's what it was all
mhm,
about. You create a good time for people so you get all their pockets. When you left my clubs, I had all your money. The
mm,
girls had all your money, so now the club pays me, the girls pay me, the customers pay me because I do big tapes in the club. I got 6 streams of income when I work. So I'm getting
mm,
6 times the bread because I'm a hustler. I will always and forever be a hustler because I'm willing to work. That's
yeah.
what people don't understand. And don't nobody owe you nothing. Ain't nobody gonna give you nothing. And don't nobody care.
Mm. Man, you just said it. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about that. I said, man, I've been working since I was 16 years old. So like you say, I saw my mother go to work. I saw my father go to work every day. And so you just
Mhm.
get that work ethic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, cause you see it. Man, I've been working since I was 16 years old. And like you say, I dibble and dabble in this, or whatnot. And cause I'm just always, I wrote books, cause I'm always trying to do something. I was just telling
Mhm.
somebody, a dude cut my hair yesterday. He said, man, you doing podcasts? He said, man, you wrote books too? I said, yeah. I said, man, so people always talking about trying to make $1 million, but what you doing to try to get it? I ain't saying that I got $1 million, but I'm trying to do, put things together so
Yeah.
that, cause like you said something earlier about planting seeds. And I laughed at it because that's one of my thumbnails is planting seeds, or
Mhm.
whatever on the CJ, because that's all life is about, man. Whether it's you planting seeds right now on this podcast or whatever, I can't watch it grow. We say some water, some plant. All you gotta do is do your part because you don't know if you the water or the planter. You know what I'm saying? In life. So
So
that's what I try to do with young people too.
so me being on this podcast, I'm gonna tell you how this seed has grown. Okay. Because it was a seed. Because it started off as this guy named Jeff Kwan, maybe about 10 years ago. He was like, hey man, dude want to interview you, man. You want to interview him? I was like, cool, because this is when Zoom kind of first came out. So I, set it up and we did a Zoom and he interviewed me. Then I got another interview, then another interview. Now I'm doing 2, 3 interviews a week, right?
Mm,
And I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool, but it's just an interview. But as my journey continues on, this interview turns into a podcast. This podcast turns, I'm doing these podcasts now. I'm running my mouth. I'm talking. We spitting game to each other. Now I'm like, ooh, I just said some cold-blooded stuff, right? So now I'm getting all these metaphors and these analogies. Now I'm better able to articulate my message, and that takes me to being a motivational speaker. Well, maybe I could be a motivational speaker because I got people riveted on just spitting game,
Yeah.
right? And I've got expertise. I've got all these things, and I do SEO. So this podcast serves as a backlink to my site. This podcast, because I'm gonna send you some instructions, simple instructions, but those instructions are gonna get me placed where people can find me.
Mm-hmm.
See, the key is to be found. So because of this podcast, I'm practicing articulation. I'm practicing, my diction. I'm human nature, like I'm a DJ. I'm reading the crowd, right? Because if you start looking at your watch, I'm like, wait a minute, this fool done looked at his watch. Let me give it to him, right?
Yeah.
And I can tell the same story I just told you 800 different ways. And when you do that, that's practice. So now I'm doing basically a podcast every other day. And I'm getting backlinks. I'm getting more internet notoriety. I'm getting people who want me to speak. I've gotten 2 financial advisors off of doing this, right? Kill 14 birds with 1 stone. This is not just a podcast. It's what you make it, right? It's what you make it. And that's the key. So that's why I tell that now you know why everybody's doing a podcast. And I'm like, oh man, everybody's doing a podcast. Now, how do you cut through? You be an expert guest. So now I can get on any podcast and tell my history, tell the history of Atlanta, my history of where I've been. And I can, if it's a podcast anywhere in the country, I got a story for them because I can relate to all these things that I've done, because everything I've ever done has had a method, has had a standard operating procedure, right? From breaking records to buying records to putting together a show to making music, they all have standard operating procedures and they all apply across the board. They're universal, right? But they're universal just on the surface. How you implement them is up to your imagination, right? Everybody's like, I would never put out a record again, but I will put out a record again. But if I put out a record, you're not even gonna know I put out a record, because I'm not gonna say, man, if I've tried to put out a record and everybody be like, hey, everybody, look at me, I done put out an old record. Everybody like, man, DC need to sit his old ass down. He was doing good with that guy. He need to sit his old ass down. Old Papa Smurf ass dude. Right? But if I have a company where I make jingles and somebody uses my jingle in the NBA playoffs, think about it. There's about 5 commercials in NFL, NBA playoffs where you're like, that beat is slamming. What's that? What's that song? And then you find out what that song is, and you be like, damn, that's DC the Brain Supreme Tag Team. Damn, that nigga still making money. Which one do you prefer? Right, the first or the second? Right?
Yeah.
The second, you let people do the work for you. It's a different way of doing things. It's a different way of thinking, right? I thrive in the bizarre world. I thrive in the upside down. Because as you get older, you feel that that's where you're at. You feel that things are against you. You feel that your age is against you. You feel that whatever insecurities you have, you feel that that works against you when it doesn't. Only in here it works against you, right? So it takes discipline. And all this stuff I'm saying is easier said than done. Let me really put that out there, because I got my issues and I got my problems too. Ain't nobody perfect. I just make it sound good, okay? But that discipline, to create your own discipline within yourself and to struggle with it every day, but then to just have these wins here and there, have these wins, right? That is what it's all about. We done 3 NFL halftimes this year. 2 NBA no, we done. Yeah, we did. I just did the WNBA finals. About to go to Houston and do the Rockets game on next Wednesday. Now, most artists can't do that because they're not clean. We're clean. We got a stadium anthem. I can go do sporting arenas forever. I can do parades forever. I could do an Army USO tour if I wanted to. I could do all kind of things. There's stuff that I haven't even gotten to yet that I know I could do. But it's about setting it up, planting those seeds, and then all of a sudden they start. This plant grows and this plant grows, and those plants are usually relationships. And those relationships give you more opportunities because if you show and prove that you're professional, you're on time, you can do all the things that you need to do, and you can be one less thing somebody that hires you has to worry about, you will always work. You will always book. And you will always have some bread in your pocket.
Man, you spit straight game, man. I'm telling you, because I'm listening. You know, I'm listening because like it's coordinate with what I was just thinking. I was just telling somebody the other day, man. I on everything, DC. I was just telling them, I say, man, I got into this, Blondie, Blind, Skippy. I say, man, I got things lined up because I got a top 3 global podcast according to listen notes, you know, number 47 on Apple right now in the entrepreneur section. I'm like, it's things that I haven't even tapped into yet. Like you were just saying, I ain't even tapped into some of the things that I plan on tapping into. But like you say, I'm just setting things up, you know. Yep. I say, man, you know, because of course I was excited about this interview. I say, man, I got DC Glenn. It was like, oh boy from Tag Team. I'm like, yeah, whoop, there it is. I say, now if I could get him, I say, man, my next thing now, I got pitch letters for Magic Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Because that's my role model, Magic Johnson. I say, it's things I ain't even tapped into yet, you know. So I'm just.
What they say, closed mouth don't get fed. A lot of times all you got to do is ask and ask not. Please never. Please is undefeated. Long as you say please behind it and you come sincere. I've gotten so much knowledge from people because I'm like, hey man, what's it going, you know, I'm struggling with trying to make beats with this DAW. Can you please help me? What's the ticket, man? Right? What's the ticket for our one-on-one tutelage? Please help me. And they be like, hey man, for you, I do it for $60 an hour. Right? Now, he didn't give me nothing, but he gave me everything. Because he gave me his expertise. And I can give him $60 an hour to sit there for an hour, record it, and I'll always be able to go back to the game tape. Think about it, man. So if there's somebody out there that you want to learn from, all you got to do is call them and say, hey, man, please, I need some help. What's it going to cost for us to do maybe once a month, once a month, hour mentoring? What's the ticket, man? I'm paying. I know your time is valuable, but I just need your help. He gonna help you. Might not even charge you, but he's gonna help you. And if they give you an astronomical number and he's him, I'm still gonna pay it. Like I paid $8,000 for an SEO course. When not SEO course, but as to be in the SEO community, right? And it's not that I paid $8,000 for knowledge. I paid $8,000 for the ability to be in a community with 1,000 people who know SEO. And because I'm me, they don't even know who I am till I get in. Once the leader knows who I am, he tells everybody else. Now I'm the big fish story, right? You know who's a part of our group, don't you? And they're like, what? And now I can call 100 people to help me. Say, hey man, I see your expertise. I see your this. What's the best way? You know, you make them. I tell this to young people all the time. I say, look, you want to learn something. You know, if you want to get a job, right? You know, this is how I used to help my friends get jobs. Remember I tell everybody, there's be this big book back in the day called the Yellow Pages. You know what they are, but I mean,
yeah,
it's like Google, right? In a book. And you know, my people be like, hey man, I wasn't looking for a job. You know, young kid, man, I wasn't looking for a job, man. I was like, how many places you go to? 3. I was like, 3? Man, bring me them Yellow Pages. excuse me, what you want to work at? Restaurant? Okay, here we go. Let's start with that. Hey man, how you doing? Just wondering, are you guys hiring? Nah, we're not hiring. All right, cool. Hey man, how you doing? Are you guys accepting applications? No, not now, but keep call me back later. All right, cool. Excuse me, man, but are you accepting applications? Yeah. Shoot, if you get up here in the next hour, I might have a job for you. Because there's always somebody who done got hired because the company has grown. There's always somebody that got fired. There's always somebody that didn't show up to work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always going to be somebody who needs somebody who's willing to work. With those odds, that's how you get a job. But with those odds, that's how I get people to help me,
Mm.
right? Because I call and I open my mouth and I say, "Can you please help me?" And they'd be like, "What can I do for you?" Right? And the fact that you calling sincere, you're not trying to finagle them or you're not trying to finesse them. You're just being straight up and saying, "Please." They're gonna help you. So when I go to these conventions, I wear a big Whoomp There It Is t-shirt and I park. I find I usually you either get a little them eating trays.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy one of them eating trays from Walmart because it only costs $30. I can just throw them away. But I got a place to always set up in a convention hall or in a hotel, right? And I get on my computer and start working, and people stop by and they're like, getting their stuff together before they go to the next, class or whatever. And I just start talking. So what do you do? And we start talking and everything. And they be like, well, what do you do? I was like, well, I do SEO and marketing and digital marketing. And we talking and we exchange cards. And I got a big Whoomp There It Is t-shirt on, and they still don't know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then I double dutch my way into them because I might be like, yeah, I just got here and been traveling. I'm just tired. We just got back from, I just got back from a show. And they're like, show? What kind of show do you do? I was like, well, back in the day, I made a record in the 90s called Whoomp There It Is, and we still touring after all this time. So I stay busy. Oh, okay, that's cool. All right, yeah. Well, wait a minute.
Hmm.
Whoomp There It Is? Yeah, Whoomp There It Is. Nah, man. Really? I was like, yep. Like I know you're gonna go look. I know you're gonna go look on your phone. You're gonna see this face with long black pretty hair. That's me. Brain's favorite tag team. Nice to meet you. Next thing you know, now I have a bullhorn to the whole convention because that person is gonna go back and tell 100 people. And now everybody's looking for me. By the end of that conference, everybody knows who I am.
Mm.
So now I can call people and they say, yeah, I seen you at the thing. I can get a chance to meet you, but I'm glad you called me. Right. So that's the only time I use it. I don't, I working in the club. I used to always see dudes. And this is the beauty of being in the DJ booth. The worst thing you could do to a girl, you know who I am? And they'd be like, no, and don't care.
Mm.
Never do that. Right. And I learned that early. You just don't do that. If you ain't got that mouthpiece and can't spit that game, you just gonna be short, no matter who you are. Unless I can't say that, but if you got bread, and especially this day and age, you got bread. It's always been like that. Whoever got the bread is gonna get some type of women. Period.
Yeah,
That's the way the game goes. But
that's just how it is.
there's other ways to win a woman's heart besides money. You know what I'm saying? Character,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the beginning. And then they see you got character and you got all this stuff, all the stuff that they really, really want, but they'll take money. If they really, really want the stuff you got and you can show them you got it and you got some money,
Oh,
you
wait.
got, you got, you got, man, you got draws for life. And that's the hard part of the whole thing. There's always somebody out there who got the draws for life.
Yeah,
Not that, but it's not even physically. It's I got the draws for life mentally on thousands of women.
mentally.
Mentally.
Ment-
Because I am on their side. I taught them how to make money. I did their photo shoot. Like my contribution to the game is like from marketing standpoint, everybody followed me. I was the first one to do the calendars, the strip club calendars. I was always innovative. I am the one. This is a marketing ploy. Well, If I want to do marketing nationwide for this strip club, so when people come to Atlanta, they come see me and pay me. Let me take the pictures of the girls so we have authentic um, advertising. But the byproduct of that is that I got all these pictures of all these beautiful black women that had natural bodies back in the day. So I have relationships with Don Diva, Feds Magazine. I used to do the sticky pages for Don Diva. I did all the pages for Feds. I did all the Ozone Magazine with Julia. I the one that did the dollar menu. Anything that had women, because that's all you had was the magazines back then.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, the girls in my club got more letters from jail because they're like, "You the first person I'll come see when I get out of here." I had a girl who I put her in a magazine, and I had her in one real good hip hop magazine, and she had a Nigerian oil man come from there and track her down, and they've been rolling ever since. Because I show these women how they can be. I can maximize their beauty. I show them what they are. I show them their worth because I ain't trying to get nothing from them. I'm trying to help them, right? The easiest way to get some is don't want none. Easiest way, right? I got conversation for women. I provide value for women. I spit game to women. I can show you how to be financially literate. I can give you 2 or 3 moves that'll change your life, right? Because those are the same moves that changed my life. And if you will, that's the tragedy of the strip clubs. Everybody spend their money. If I had known what I know now, all that cash, I would have kept. If I make $500 a night, I would have kept 100 to spend, and 400 would have been in some stock somewhere. The next night, 400 would have went to a real estate course to where I could go to and learn real estate. Every little, and then you just keep stacking that paper because if you don't see it, you don't spend it. So that's when I get chunks. I throw them in. That's what I say. I'm always looking for financial advisors because I'm like, let me throw you this and you just do what you want to do with it. Now you got all these little buckets that you fill and they grow because I'm terrible at gambling. So crypto and all the stuff like that. Like I do crypto. I'm a licensed commodities broker. I learned the game, but I'm terrible at it because it's intellectual gambling. And I can't do it. Right. I'm just not good. I know what my weaknesses are, right? But I do have an investment strategy where I put a little here, little here, little there, and it grows over time. And you think that time is not time, but time is your ally. Even when you got less time now, even when you got less days ahead of you than less days behind you, time is still your ally. Because as long as you're breathing, there ain't nothing on this earth you can't do. And I leave you with that, my friend, because I mean, we can go on for 4 hours, dog. I continue to learn, right?
Yeah.
I just refuse to let life pass me by. And I know a lot of cats that I'm 58 years old and women be like, damn, you don't even look 58, right? Because I know what to do. I try to take care of myself. I exfoliate. I got this Papa Smurf. I got something, I know how to morph myself to be younger because that fountain of youth for me being in the clubs did it for me. Now it's just a different today. I can never go back and do that because I just don't got it in me no more. It's like I probably can never do music again because I don't have it in me no more. But I know what it takes to make music. I know what good music is. I know what music transcends everything. So I know I can make good jingles and put them in commercials because all you need to do is get it played over and over and over again in front of a bunch of people. Just the law of averages is going to make it work, right?
Yeah.
That's what has to be done if you're trying to do stuff. Now, everybody's success story is different. So I don't discourage people. I just try to help them. And if you want my help, you got to earn it. Like, Cass be like, put me on. I'll be like, all right, Here's a folder full of stuff about everything in the music industry you need to know. Call me back in a month and we'll have a discussion. And nobody calls me back. And they
Mm,
just missed out an opportunity because I've given you the game. But I ain't gonna just sit here and be talking the game to you. You gotta put in the work. If you put in the work and be like, man, I don't looked at all that stuff, man, but I'm still confused about this, that, and that. I kind of get this, but no, let me explain it to you. Let me give you the next set of homework.
mm-hmm,
Because this ain't gonna be me giving you game. This is gonna be me teaching you how to learn. See, it ain't enough to learn. You gotta learn how to learn.
mm-hmm,
I had to learn how to learn. I had to learn how to go get all them courses. I had to learn how to put them course. Like if I get a course, first thing I do, I take all the videos and make them one video.
mm-hmm,
So I can just play it in the background on 5 times speed. Because if you look at a video, you're never gonna learn. You're never gonna learn everything in one shot. But if you got out on this background music, stuff starts dropping in your head,
mm-hmm,
starts filtering in your head, and then your hustle mind starts working. Then you start piecing it together. Now you come up with a whole new hybrid hustle that's conducive and custom to me.
mm-hmm. Yeah. DC man, I appreciate you. You've been dropping nuggets all day. I got something to ask you when we get off. But just let me ask you this one last question,
Mhm.
man, because I know people want to know this one. How was it, man, when you guys did the Geico commercial and just revamped that whoop that is to scoop that is, man, because the commercial in itself, especially with the lady with the first one, she was dancing like that was hot, man. So how was that just bringing that song back? Because I hear you talking about the jingle. So is that what's considered, you know what I'm saying, a
Yeah,
jingle?
yeah, yeah. And my, that's a perfect example of turning tragedy into triumph
Mm-hmm.
because 2011, I'm at the club, I'm at Strokers, and I get a call at the front door, and the house, look, the security's like, "Hey, man, you got a phone call at the front door." I'm like, "Man, take a message." Like, man, they would not get off the phone. I was like, "Man, let me." When I was like, "Hello," it's like, "DC, I've been trying to get in touch with you." I was like, "Hey, I'm at work. The record about to go off. Call me at this number tomorrow." I was like, "Okay, cool." Call me in the morning. It was a reporter from the New York Times,
Mm,
and she was like, "DC, have you seen the Gawker article?" I was like, "No." It's like the whole world thinks Barack Obama has been in your music video. And the group I told you about, Deuce, this dude named L.A. Snow, they took a clip, they took a frame, and he looks exactly like a young Barack Obama. So for 3 weeks, the world thought that Barack, the president of the United States, was in the Whoomp There It Is video. And we did ABC, NBC, Stephen Colbert show. We got press out the Yahoo. And it pissed me off because at the end of that 3 weeks, I had no money in my pocket.
mm,
And I vowed that that'll never happen again. And that's what started my SEO career, search engine optimization, the ability to get on the first page of Google for anything you want. That's what SEO is.
mm,
Being able to be seen, right? And fast forward 2020, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And I get a call from my agent for acting. He's like, DC, you just booked a Geico commercial. Like, Lena, don't play with me. I haven't even auditioned for a Geico commercial. She's like, no, DC, tag team. And I was like, oh, check my tag team phone. Sure enough, Geico, we want to do a commercial with you, boom, boom. But they didn't wait for me to call them back. They went to my IMDb. IMDb is a portal for actors,
mm,
but you should have every portal all over the internet filled out. You say you got books. That means that you should have your Amazon book portal filled out, optimized to where people can find you,
okay.
right? And they found my IMDb and they called my agent for acting, which was perfect synergy because I let them make the deal because that's what they do. They're my agent for acting.
Mm-hmm.
But this had to do with tag team. And this when the owner got on the phone, everybody got on the phone, which gave me more cachet in the agency. Now I'm the number one dude on the roster. And I let them make the deal. Now I ain't got to get lawyers. I ain't got to do none of that. And it is the biggest, most lucrative deal I've ever made in my life.
Mm,
Bigger than Whoomp. And now I get to work with the biggest marketing agency of the world, which is, and I go in and I infiltrate. Now I'm learning how an ad agency works, and I'm reversing engineered to how it helps me with the hustle, right?
mm-hmm.
And we, because of acting, I was able to get that script because it was supposed to be Soup, There It Is. So I'm like, okay, well, let me go prepare like an actor. And I'm like looking for Seinfeld for Soup Nazi episodes to get ideas, right? And then they call us like, no, we're gonna do it about ice cream. Soup, Scoop, There It Is. And I was like, oh man. And once again, it took me back to the old school, it took me back to my childhood because my father used to make us ice cream. And we had the old ice cream churn where he put the sugar, the eggs, the milk, vanilla, and the strawberries. And he'd be like, go get the ice ready because we grew up in Colorado. We had rock salt and we put the rock salt in the ice and then we churn. I churned some time. My brother would churn in about 20 minutes. You got 2 big spoons. You got 2 kids eating ice cream. Just pure happiness.
Mm.
And I wanted to bring that essence to that commercial. So maybe 6 months before, I was struggling in acting because I wasn't booking nothing. I said, well, let me try another. Like I found a way. I said, let me try another approach. When I get these commercial scripts, instead of me trying to improv and just do it on the fly, come up with 5 things that you can practice before you go in. So when they say, why don't you just freestyle and do something for me, you're prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first time I did that, me and this girl booked a national Pizza Hut commercial for March Madness. And I was happy. But 2 weeks later, the pandemic came.
Mm.
Lost that bread. But I was happy because I booked. That let me know, oh, it's on now.
Mm-hmm.
And when Geico came, I did the same thing. So that's where the spin and scoop came from. That's where the sprinkles comes from. That's where that's where all the stuff in that video, that commercial comes from because I prepared. And we were at our fitting and I was like, you mind if I give you some ideas? And it was like, yeah, whatever you guys want to do. And I was like, well, I want to do a spin and scoop, but I couldn't fabricate one. It's like, DC, we'll have your spin and scoop. I was like, oh, word. I was like, we got to have a bunch of sprinkles. I don't know why kids love sprinkles, but they love sprinkles. Like, DC, we'll have your truckload of sprinkles. And I just went on and on. And that footage that we shot, we could have had 5 different Geico commercials because it was so much stuff that we shot that was so dope. And when we got it back, I couldn't find fault. And then it dropped and it blew up.
Yeah.
But I don't get to take advantage of it because we're in a pandemic. So I can't do shows, can't do no, but I'm not going to sit back. I'm like, well, what can I do? I can rock this mic. I can become my own publicist. So I joined this organization called Public Relations Society of America. And, when you join those organizations, they always have Zoom calls and they always give you resources. And it was this old school publicity lady. And I raised my hand and asked a question. I was like, are press releases still relevant? I was like, I got to do something. I got to make it hot, blow up my acting, blow up my voiceover. And she was like, well, what's it for? I was like, she let me double dutch in. Well, I'm kind of got a national Geico commercial called Scoop, There It Is. And I was just wondering, getting ready to do a press release about it. I was wondering, are they still relevant? I know they're relevant, but I need that. So you want to get that validation from the old school players who've been doing it for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I'm looking at the chat. It's like, wait a minute. That's not who. That can't be him. What's he doing here? My mama loved that commercial. My daddy loved that commercial. My dog loved that commercial. Blew up the entire chat. And she's like, all right. That's a great commercial, by the way. Now everything is about me in a roundabout way. And she said, of course that press release is going to work because, everybody is stuck in their crib and everybody's looking for something to make them happy. And that commercial is going to do it. And you're going to go here for all the TV talk shows. You're going to go here for all the podcasts. You're going to go here for all the journalists. You're going to go here for all the radio interviews. And she gave me the entire breadth of her expansive history and her game in 10 minutes. And it changed my life forever. And it is the sole reason that you and I have been chopping it up for the last hour on this podcast.
Man.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
see how it works. You
Yeah.
see how thinking differently can get you where you need to be. Because I planted that seed, and now I've done damn near 1,000 podcasts, from marriage podcast to SEO podcast, anything. I could do a podcast about anything.
Mm-hmm.
I get to speak at places. I get to do things that everybody wish they could do,
Yeah.
right? And I know that in if I'm still blessed to be healthy and still be around, I'll still be doing shows and I'll still be doing motivational speaking. That'll be getting bigger because I can express my I'm always gonna be able to spit on this mic in whatever
Mm-hmm.
form I can, right? And I'm always training to get better, right? And as long as I got a voice, you're gonna know about DC the Brain Supreme, a tag team. Everything now is about my legacy, about my
Mm-hmm.
family's legacy, about me putting stuff together so people know that I had a great father and knowing our family history and all that. Because when you put that out there, people it becomes history. And kids 100 years from now gonna read a book. I know how to infiltrate history in ways that people don't think about because now me and my brother are so family oriented that anybody in the family comes to us. So I was like, my brother is the eulogy dude, and I'm the slideshow and the funeral program dude, or the family
Mm-hmm.
reunion program guy. I'm the family union recorder. I'm the one that we provide support services for all the family reunions in our family because people don't know how to do a family reunion, but
Mm-hmm.
I got AI and I was like, how can I do a ghetto family reunion and make it fly? And it came back with 20 different things now. 15 of them gonna be you don't heard them before, but 5 of them is like, oh snap, I didn't even know about that. We can
Mm-hmm.
do that. Oh man. So now I'm extending my legacy by just because I've been using Photoshop since day one. Because I did my own, I did all the flyers for the club.
Yeah.
So I'm not just your DJ. I'm your flyer guy. I do your radio spots. I do your television spots. I take care of your lights. I take care of your sound. Right? You got to hire 8 people to replace me. That's
Mm-hmm.
hustle. You make yourself invaluable. Well, I do that in life and do that for my family. So this last family reunion, I told them, I said, it is an honor to do this because when you do a program for the family reunion, you get to know who everybody is because everybody wants to be in that program.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to place them and rewrite their little clips, and now you know who they are. And that's magic, man. Right. And I told them, I said, this fact, y'all, this is so fly that 100 years from now, it's going to be in somebody's attic and it's going to be historical fact.
Mm.
Like, don't nobody think about like stuff like
Yeah.
that about, like I do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear
So
you.
there's ways to do things without just saying, I'm gonna build a website for this person. No, people gonna hold on to my father passed just before the pandemic, thank God, because he lived a full life. My father lived a full life. He outlived all his friends, and he died on his 82nd birthday in his own home, in his own bed.
Mm.
Full circle of life. I'd be greedy if I was sad and wanted more because I can only hope and pray that I go out like that,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
In your sleep on your birthday. Come on, man.
Wow.
Come on, man.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
He had his ailments, but he didn't have cancer or nothing like he just had his ailments. He was old and he was ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't discount when people know they lived a good life and they're ready to go. I've done all I could do here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Right. And that is the beauty of life. So I tell people you live life to the fullest because I'm as long as you breathe and there's nothing you can't do, and I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point you're gonna get tired. And I thought, hey, think about it. I thought I was gonna go to the club forever. I'm balling forever. You got tired of it. Now you can't beg. I don't even go out to eat, right? Because I don't like spending money for stuff that I could cook better than they do.
Mm.
Right? It's not even about the money. It's about the quality of what I've spent my money on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, come on, y'all. And it's just like people overpromise and deliver because there came a point in the 2000s where fake became the new reality.
Yeah.
Fake
Yeah.
became real. I watched it. So I just feel blessed that I was able to live in a time where you had to pick up the phone and be like, hey man, can I come over? Something
Yeah.
that simple, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you had to pick up a phone with a cord, right?
And then
And try to find people, right?
yeah.
As opposed to now. But now's great because I know how to use it and everything, but now you feel frustrated because you don't know what's real. I know it's real, but even sometimes I get, I have to be disciplined and not fall for stuff, right? Because they can have you believing some stuff that's not true.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
just ask Kamala Harris, man. They have you believing stuff that ain't true.
Exactly.
And like you could have took a different approach, or just sometimes it ain't nothing you could do. Sometimes
Mhm.
sometimes you gotta take the L, right? Sometimes you gotta take the L. But everybody expect people to do stuff for them. I'm like, no. I said, now I switch my brain to what the hell they gonna do?
Mhm.
Because whatever they gonna do, they doing for their rich friends.
Mhm.
So how do I adapt my hustle to take the benefit, get the benefits, and take advantage of the things that they do for their rich friends on my level?
Mhm.
Because the rules are the same. They apply the same,
Mhm.
right? It might not be $1 million that I'm investing, but I can invest 10,000.
Mhm.
I can invest 5,000. I can invest 500.
Mhm.
As long as I know what's going to happen and know the game, well, then that little bank turns into big bank over time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I get to take advantage of all the tax cuts and all the stuff because I learned the game. I know the game.
Mhm.
So if I know that these are the write-offs, will let me fashion my company to deal with these write-offs to where I don't get charged for taxes.
Mhm.
You do it just like these big corporations where they have armies of lawyers to find the loopholes. They're all out there. So you
Mhm.
find the loopholes and you be creative. It's not that you're cheating. It's not that you're being creative with the system. You're playing the game better. Who's the best in basketball? The one who could be the most creative,
Yep.
right? In the back in the era, Dr. J was the most creative because he knew how to, him gliding through the air. But then you had Jordan, right? Then you go back as far as David Thompson,
Yeah.
right? You got the creativity of people who play the game. They play the game different. They don't play it like everybody. Like right now, everybody's kind of playing the game the same. So that's why you got Jokic, you got the Europeans is over because they got them fundamental things down to the wire. They're not just doing what everybody else is doing.
Mhm.
They're not one trick ponies, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And you have to, I learned this a long time ago that when vinyl went from vinyl, with techniques, DJing with techniques to DJing with CDJs. And I was like, I'll never DJ with no CDs. And I almost lost my job because
Mm.
so that was a slap in the face. And I said, I will never do that because the key to all of this is that you have to, you know, sequester your pride and kill your ego.
Mm.
You do that, your mind is truly free to do anything you want because you're not bogged down by your hubris, right? You're humble. You're like, okay, what can I do to be better? How can I be better? What can I do? How can I keep growing? What's the goal? What are we doing? Right. And just these little tactics in life, man, they help you out a lot. So I had to go because my phone is buzzing. It might be some
Yeah.
money, but I appreciate you on this podcast. And like I said, I know that there's 2 or 3 things that people gonna take from this when they listen to it, and it's gonna make their life better. Or they gonna
Yeah.
take the bull by the horns and be like, "What is that dude talking about?" Right? And if you want to know, I can be found. Hit me up, send me an email, be like, "Hey man, what was you talking about with this, that?" And I'll call you and tell you what it is because
Okay.
I learn more from running my damn mouth.
Hey, well, I appreciate you coming on, DC, man. I'm gonna give you a call, man, because you're talking a lot of things. I want to get some inside information on some stuff,
Definitely,
man.
definitely,
All right,
definitely.
man. I
All right,
appreciate you, bro, man. Thanks for coming on today. You have been listening to the CJ Moneyway Show with my man DC Glenn. We out of here. Peace.
yeah.
All right, man. I appreciate you.